Hi, everybody. I'm John Kiriakou, and welcome back to Deep Focus. A couple of weeks ago, we did a Q&A video just because we've been getting so many questions in the comments, and I promised you, and I still promise you, I read all the comments, and if you have questions, please plug them in there, and we'll get to them. So we wanted to do that again. And I got to tell you, on a personal level, I'm overwhelmed with the positive response to the podcast and the number of really intelligent questions and conversations that continue to take place in the comments. So please keep it up. And if you haven't already done it, please do me the favor of subscribing, liking, forwarding, sharing, whatever you can do. That's how we can keep these conversations going. So I'm going to continue to be on the lookout for more questions. Let's start with Danny Miller Jr., 8577. What is your greatest accomplishment? He says, I enjoy your podcast. Great storyteller. Thank you. This is Danny Miller Jr. What is my greatest accomplishment? Funny that I've never actually thought about that. I'm going to say my greatest accomplishment was standing up to the government in the name of human rights. In a previous life, I would have told you it was, work on counterterrorism or, this operation or that operation. In retrospect, I'm 61 now. None of that stuff was important. What was important was to set an example for my children that the truth will set you free, that we have to be able to respect ourselves, we have to be able to sleep at night, and history will judge us. Each and every one of us. And so I'm proud to say, I guess I would consider it my greatest accomplishment that when history came and asked me which side I was going to be on, I chose the right side. There. Thanks for that question. I never even thought of it. Ace88 says, Hi, John. Huge respect from Michigan. Thank you. You've made this statement to the effect of you can't buy an Afghan warlord, but you sure can rent one. Yes. He says, that always struck me. My question is, can you share that particular story and or any other big bribes you or the CIA used to gain intelligence? Thanks again for interacting. Oh, we don't have enough time to tell all these stories. But yeah, the story that comment came out of was in the immediate aftermath of the 9/11 attacks. The CIA sent in the first team. It wasn't the Navy SEALs or the Army Rangers or the Delta Force or any of that stuff. It was a bunch of guys in their 40s and 50s from the CIA who parachuted into northern Afghanistan, made contact with the Northern Alliance, gave them bags and bags full of money, bought horses. We dropped our weapons in, and they just started riding these horses first to Kabul and then to Kandahar, which was the Al-Qaeda stronghold, of course, in southern Afghanistan. Well, you can't risk all these tribal leaders just, opening fire on you. And so what we did was we sent word. We had guides, people who spoke these tribal languages. We had guides go ahead and say, listen, the Americans are behind me. They're on horseback. They have guns, but they have a whole lot of money and they want to talk to you. And then that way they're willing to, put on a pot of tea and sit and have a conversation with you. And you say, look, we're not going to recruit you. We can't recruit you to be a source for the CIA. They're never going to do something like that. But if you help us out in helping instead of helping these other guys out, these Taliban guys, we can give you $1 million in cash now. We'll give you $1 million a month after that. You can spread it around the region. You can maybe dig some water wells or, build a barn or whatever. We don't care what they do with the money. What are you going to do with all that money in rural Afghanistan anyway? And that's really what it came down to. Now, there were other tribes, or not even tribes so much as networks like the Haqqani network, who were very bad people, yet very sophisticated bad people. And while on the one hand, they're, kidnapping soldiers and holding them for ransom, they're also willing to meet with the CIA and say, all right, I won't kill the American hostages that I have, and I'll help you overthrow the Taliban if you give me 5 million now and $1 million a month. And so you really don't want to do business with people like that, but you have to. And so you pay the money. That's what I meant when I say you can't buy an Afghan warlord, but you certainly can rent one. And those rental agreements lasted until it was time to leave Afghanistan. Lisa ZM7YQ says, do you have any stories with Australian intelligence? Also, are you planning to come to Australia anytime soon? I had to think about this question when I first read it, because I was declared to dozens and dozens of intelligence services around the world. I've been to 72 countries over the years, and I've never worked with the Australians. Isn't that odd? The reason for that is, for the most part, the Australians are very concerned about China and about security in the Pacific. And that was just never my bailiwick. I was always Middle East, and then broader counterterrorism. So never had a chance to work with the Australians. With that said, I do expect to come to Australia soon. I'm reconstituting a speaking tour that's starting on the West Coast of the United States in December. Once we finish in the US, which I'm hoping is going to be February or March, we're coming straight to Australia and then to New Zealand. And in addition to that, I had an inquiry from a big Australian, I'll just say a big Australian company, asking if I could speak in February in Sydney. So fingers crossed that that's going to happen soon. And our last question is, John, this is from Dre School 1. John, I'm infatuated with espionage in the relation to proxy wars and conflicts. Well done. How does the current conflict in Ukraine, with the CIA assisting, compare to the Iran-Iraq war, Afghanistan in the 80s, and other proxies throughout the Middle East, where intelligence support has been provided on one or both sides to produce an outcome in the conflict positive to the U.S.? It seems Ukraine is just the latest iteration. Oh my God, that is so true. I think you've hit the nail right on the head. Going back into the late 70s, the U.S., it was the Reagan administration at the time, provided classified intelligence to both Iran and Iraq, right? Most of it was troop movements for the other side. It was overhead imagery, and it was electronic intercepts, communications intercepts. The idea was, if the Iraqis started to get a little bit ahead, we would give more to the Iranians. The Iranians would get a little bit ahead, we'd give more to the Iraqis. Why? Because we hated them both, and we wanted them to destroy one another and to kill each other. And so we had a national interest in that war lasting as long as humanly possible. Look at Afghanistan. Afghanistan's another thing. Did we love the Mujahideen? No, we didn't care one way or the other about the Mujahideen, but we hated the Soviets. And in the Middle East and Central Asia, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so if the Soviets move into Afghanistan, we decide not just to arm the Mujahideen, but to arm them with Stinger missiles. Now, these were state-of-the-art at the time. And it allowed them to begin shooting down Soviet aircraft, including troop transfers, right? Killing lots and lots of people. So what happened? They drove the Soviets out. And then all of a sudden, we have these radicals who have not just American machinery. They have these state-of-the-art missiles that can shoot down our troop transfer planes and our helicopters. Then we had to start buying them back little by little. Here we are, 40 years later, we're still buying back Stinger missiles from what are called Afghan Arabs. Those are Arabs who moved to Afghanistan to make jihad against the Soviets. Well, that one blew up in our faces because on the one hand, we're welcoming the Mujahideen leaders to the Pentagon and to the White House to meet with the president and the Secretary of Defense, and we laud them as these great heroes of anti-communism. Next thing you know, they're blowing up the World Trade Center and attacking the Pentagon, and we're going to a war that's going to cost us $2 trillion and the lives of 2 million people. So the answer to the question is yes. We see this kind of thing all the time. The policy never changes. Doesn't matter how many decades pass, the policy is going to remain the same. We love it when our enemies try to destroy one another. And I think that we're seeing, at least in part, the same thing in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. So anyway, thanks for the opportunity to answer those questions. Please keep them coming. We have a lot of big interviews coming. We recorded several of them today, and I think you're going to like them very much. So go into the comment and leave questions there. I'll be sure to answer every single one of them. And if you haven't already done it, please like, share, and subscribe. It means a lot to me. Thanks very much. I'm John Kiriakou, and you've been watching Deep Focus. Bye-bye.